क्वेश्चंस पूछना भी एक स्किल होता है. क्लैरिफाइंग क्वेश्चंस आर सिंपल क्वेश्चंस ऑफ फैक्ट. They clarify the dilemma and provide the nuts and bolts so that participants can ask good probing questions and provide useful feedback later in the protocol. Clarifying questions are for the participants and should not go beyond the boundaries of the presenter's dilemma. They have brief factual answers and don't provide any new food for thought. For the presenter, the litmus test for a clarifying question is, does the presenter have to think before they answer? If so, it's almost certainly a probing question. Some examples of clarifying questions are: how much time does the project take? How were the students grouped? And what resources did the students have available for this project? Probing or powerful open questions are intended to help the presenter think more deeply about the issue at hand. If a probing question does not have that effect, it is either a clarifying question or a recommendation with an upward inflection at the end. And if you find yourself asking, don't you think you should, or what would happen if, you have gone beyond a probing question to giving advice. The presenter often does not have a ready answer to a genuine probing question. A good probing question allows for multiple responses, avoids yes or no responses, empowers the person being asked the question to solve the problem or manage the dilemma rather than deferring to someone with greater or different expertise, stimulates reflective thinking by moving thinking from reaction to reflection, encourages perspective taking, challenges assumptions, channels inquiry, promises insight, touches a deeper meaning, creates a paradigm shift, evoke more questions, is concise, prompt, slow response. So these are the good probing, or we can say questions. Okay, so this kind of questions we need to use for the probing question. Since effective probing questions can be difficult to frame, we offer the following suggestions. Check to see if you have a right answer in mind. If so, delete the judgment from the question or don't ask it. Refer to the presenter original question if you focus on point. What did they say? What did they ask for your help with? Check your probing questions for the relevance. Check to see if you are asserting your own agenda. If so, return to the presenter's agenda. Sometimes a simple why, asked as an advocate for the presenter's success, can be very effective, and as and sometimes a simple why asked as an advocate for the presenter's success can be very effective, as can several why questions asked in a row. Try using verbs: what do you fear, want, get, assume, expect. Think about the concentric circles of comfort, risk, and danger. Use these as a barometer and don't avoid risks, but don't push the presenter into a danger zone. Think of probing questions as being on a continuum from recommendation to most effective probing question, as a way to distinguish between suggestions, advice giving, and probing questions. Consider these questions from a consultancy during which a teacher presented a dilemma about increasing students' commitment to quality work. Could you have the students use a rubric to assess their work? Recommendation restated as a question. What would happen if students assessed the quality of their work themselves? Recommendation restated as a question. Why should students be invested in doing quality work? Probing question. What would have to change for the students to work more for themselves and less for you? More effective probing question. Possible probing question stems: why do you think this is in the case? What would have to change in order for? What do you feel is right? What's another way you might? How is different from? What sort of an impact do you think? When have you done or experienced something like this before? What does this remind you of? How did you decide, you determine, or conclude? What is your hunch about? What was your intention when? What do you assume to be true about? What is the connection between and what if the opposite were true? Then what? How might your assumptions about have influenced how you are thinking about? What surprises you about? Why are you surprised? What is the best thing that could happen? What are you most afraid will happen? What do you need to ask to better understand? How do you feel when? What might this tell you about? What is the one thing you won't compromise? What criteria do you use? And do you think the problem is X, Y, or something else? What evidence exists? If you were X, how would you see the situation? If time, money were not an issue? So there are so many questions which we can use in our classroom. There are so many formats, there are so many dialogues, and these are the known as probing questions. So such type of questions we need to use in the classroom, not just like tag type question or yes no question or direct question or factual question. Rather we use